Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening for everyone. Welcome to this Flex Master class for our first week. My name is Alison Castilanco, your computer science teacher, and today I'm going to explain briefly the introduction and the objectives of our third term. The idea is that in this term we can finish the year, the ninth grade, technically focusing in something very important, that is the user interface and user experience design. Okay, so the idea is that we can focus in the software development life cycle, in which we're gonna focus in the first steps that are related with planning and do an analysis of the requirements of our web page or our app. And then uh, in the last week we can have as a result a wireframe or a preview done in a specialized page. In this case is Visely, that we can use to design our preview of our web page or app from the class of entrepreneurship. So remember that in your teams you will find everything about that. Remember in the class notebook, exactly in the module number 3, I'm gonna show you Flex Computer Science principles here. In the class notebook, you will find all the information. Yes, the master classes and all about that you will find in the classwork, but the class notebook you will find all the contents. For that reason, it's very important that you check carefully all the contents that you will find here. Okay, so as you can see, collaboration space and in content library, sorry, is in content library. You're gonna open content library and you will find the 3 modules, the 3 terms that we've seen at the moment: the first term, second term, as you know, and third term, and the glossary section. But we're gonna focus in the module number 3. In the module number 3, you will find all the information that in this moment I am sharing with you: the planning, the support material, the masterclass classwork that I'm gonna use to explain some topics, and additional material that you can see for all the units is the same methodology, a top video that is a brief explanation from another person of the same topic, and the activities that you have here. Remember that our activities per week are 2. The first one is the forum. Remember to do the forum, because the forum is just to answer some questions. It won't take more than 10 minutes. The idea is that we can do week by week. And the second is an activity that can be related of the topic of the week. So in our case, the activity of this week is just to do a document with the detailed requirements of our webpage or our app. That's the idea. Explore all this content. This content is available for you in all cases. And in addition, remember that in classwork you will find all the modules here. As you can see, I'm gonna publish the module from the third term and the first week. That here you can find all the different OneNote sheets. In that case, if you need it, the activities that you have to develop. But the idea is that you check constantly this information. So once that we have this explained properly, we're gonna start with the concept of this unit. Okay, this first week we're gonna focus in understand what is software development, the life cycle that we have to keep in mind when we want to develop a software, can be a web page or an application, and an interesting concept that is very important, that is the UI UX design or UX UI design. That has to be with the experience of the user and the user interface that we can offer with our web page or our application. So the idea is that at the end of the unit, you can do in a correct way the requirements research or the requirements analysis of your entrepreneurship project MVP. Yes, transport in a detailed list of these requirements. So what do I need? That in a Word document you can attach all the requirements, all the detailed requirements of your app or your website. Remember, focus in the experience of the user and the interface of the user. That these topics I'm going to explain in a few moments. So base material that we're gonna use for this section, remember that we have the support material. So here we have a video about the life cycle. In this part, we can see that the person in charge is explaining with details what means that and the different phases. Also, what is UI UX design, why it's important, and some important topics that we have to keep in mind if we need to apply this style of design. Also, here we're gonna have other two additional articles in which we can find with details all about the design and the requirements analysis. So my suggestion is that don't forget to attach to go to this page and check this information. So now it's time to talk about this. So for that reason, I'm gonna start with a software development article here in additional material you can find, and I'm gonna explain briefly all about it. Okay, so when we develop software, any software that we have to consider it all the different phases that we have to do if we want to create a new software. Okay, can be an app, can be a web page, can be something like that. But the idea is that we can find these steps to develop correctly our site or our app. So, if you read carefully these articles, you will see that we can divide the life cycle in 6 steps. The first one is the requirement analysis. Is when we analyze, of course, the different items that I need or that the clients expect with our web page or our app. So it's important that we can analyze the client requirements, the client preferences, and in accordance with that, we can do a detailed document in which we're gonna have all the requirements with all details. So once that you have clear what do you want, it's time to plan. Okay, the planning is for example in which time you will do the project, the different assignments during the weeks or the months you want to have in a specific time interval. This is the planning, the different resources, the different costs, things about that. This is the planning section. After, when you have this, we have to design our site in accordance with the client experience, with the user experience, and that our web page can watch in a properly way. No, that the user can enjoy the process, enjoy everything. So for that reason, it's important that when we design, we can do a preview. And this preview, the name of this preview is a mockup or a wireframe. So in this case, to the time, we're gonna do a wireframe. A wireframe is just a preview of our web page that we can show to the clients or the developers, and with that you can have an idea about what do you want in your website. These 3 steps is used to when you need to program, test, and deploy once that you have ready the process. But today, and in this term, we're gonna focus only in these 3 parts: requirement analysis, planning, and software design, such as architectural design. Okay, so here, as you can see, is the cycle: requirement analysis, after planning, after the design, after the development, once that you have cleared all the previous steps, testing our software, and finally deploy to the cloud if you have already finished. Okay, so as I told you, look at here the plan. What do we want? Yes, that's the answer that we have to answer. That's the question that we have to answer. What do we want? What does my client want? Okay, that's the idea. We have to analyze carefully the objectives, the proposals of our services. For that reason, we have to analyze carefully this information. Okay, so now it's time to move to the UI UX design. Okay, so this part is related with just visual and functionalities of my application or my web page. So for that reason, we're gonna analyze this part. Remember to open this article to focus more in that, or watch the video that you will find in the support material. But in final words, we can divide the design, the interface design, or the conceptual design of an application or a web page into different components. The first one is the user experience design. That is not more than analyze the feelings of the client or of the user when with this person uses our application or website. Yes, this is the component of the user experience. How the client will feel navigating in my site or in my app. Remember that in all the services we have to ensure that our client can have the best experience. Yes, always from the start, from the experience at the end of the experience. So for example, that the information can be clear, that for example the information that you are attaching is clear, the structure can't be complicated, that you can navigate in an easy way in the website. These are items that you have to keep in mind if you want to ensure an excellent experience of the user. Okay, so in the case of UX or user experience, you can see that we can touch digital and physical products, because remember, for example, in virtual reality, maybe you can see this. Maybe you can see that you have to combine the applications with the glasses, for example, and you have to combine the physical and digital. And the idea is that we can ensure this experience completely fine. Okay. um As you can see, the full experience from a user first contact to the last. All the experience has to be the best. For that reason, we have to analyze carefully in our website or in our app this section. Also, the idea is that we can create a product that the that the that the client can feel comfortable. It can be an effective site, can offer an effective service, and this is the objective. Always we have to keep in mind that. And in the other side, we have the user interface, and this part is it's more related to graphical design and the appearance of our web page. So in this part, the idea is that we can create an interesting and good and visually good uh, your web page. So for that reason, if you want to use this part, so the idea is that you can combine the color palettes, that you can combine the different fonts, the different pictures, the distribution of my web page, and with that I can ensure that visually my client or my user will enjoy to navigate in my app or in my web page. So the idea is that we can combine these two concepts, the experience and the interface, created as a result a wireframe that when we program in any moment, we can ensure the best experience for our clients. So that's the part of the design. So this section we're gonna focus the next week, the next unit, but it's important that you have to keep in mind this. And finally, we're gonna talk about the requirements. But Miss, how can I do the requirements? Just tell me. Okay, so in this article you will find the information about here. So as you can see here, we have different steps. The requirement analysis is when we analyze a the expectations or the necessities of our users or our clients. We have to analyze carefully all the requirements, all the necessities, and with that we can do a list with a lot of details. And this list we can focus to do a wireframe or a preview before to develop. So some tips that you can try to use. First, identify key stakeholders and end users. That is the objective of your of your product, the public that will consume your product. After we have to capture the requirements, we have to analyze the specific requirements for the users or the clients. Yes, it's very important. This is very important, okay? So remember to focus step by step all the requirements. That's the idea. Is you can use case or something like that. You can use it, but it's optional. And you can categorize the requirements, for example, in functional, in technical, in transitional. So if you want, and with all of these analysis, we can ensure a good experience to our client. Okay, but Miss, could you give me an example about that? Of course, I can do it. Okay, so we're gonna go here and we're gonna put an example here. Let's suppose that I'm gonna do just an example. Let's suppose that I want to create an application. I don't know, a sports online store. Online, sorry, online store. Yes, and we want to do something like that. Okay, store. And I want to create an enterprise or a company that can sell, for example, different sports articles. Yes, can be clothes, can be accessories, can be balls, can be bicycles. Okay, the things that you want. Okay, so but I have to imagine. But okay, what do I need? What do I need? Do I need? And I have to ask to myself this. Or what does my client need? Okay, what do I need? Or in other side, what does yes, what does my client need? Okay, my client. We have to analyze the necessity. Okay, always we have to program for the client, for the user, not for us, for the client, for the final user. Okay, need. This is very important. Need. This is the first step, and with that we're gonna do the requirements. Okay, so for example, in my case, I want to do an application, for example. So I have to put here, I want, sorry, I'm gonna write here, I want, sorry, oh my god, sometimes it can be complicated. I want to do an app. Okay, first I have this. Okay, so okay, I can understand that I have an app. Okay, perfect, it's time to develop. So one thing that we have to keep in mind, for example, I am doing just an example, is the for example, the operative system is for Android, for example, is for Android or iOS. Android or iOS, or if I want to do for both, yes, and here I can put, okay, will be done for both, will will be done. And you have to analyze, because if you want to Android, you have to use a specific programming language, and if you want to develop for iOS, you have to use another. For that reason, it's important that you check this information. Will be done for both. Okay, for both. Okay, both. That's the idea. Will be done for both. Okay, so another thing. Okay, but I want which are the main pages that will include? Pages that I will include, for example, pages to include, for example, in your app to include. Okay, this is just an example. Remember. Okay, for example, I want a home, and you have to attach which are the things that you want to include in the home page. If you want a catalog, yes, catalog, and all the items that you will attach in the catalog. Or for example, I want to attach news section, for example, news, the items that you can include in news, and you have to do all the same process with your application or your website. But means how many requirements? It depends on your web page. If you want to do a complex web page, you will have a lot of requirements, a lot of pages. But if you have a simple web page, maybe you can find 2 or 3 pages. It depends on your necessity and your preferences. Okay, other thing that we can analyze is, for example, if we can include include pay methods, for example, payment methods, for example. Okay, for example, methods, include payment methods. Okay, so in that case you have to analyze if you want to use, for example, different platforms like Stripe or I don't know, Mercado Pago, or if you want to create your own platform, or if you want to use another. Okay, the other thing that you can try to include is, for example, if you want to include a login. Okay, so if you want to include a login, you have to think in different things. For example, the register information, yes, or the login info, yes, and the most important thing in this case is the database of users. Okay, this is very important, of users. Okay, so the idea is that you can analyze all this content, and but means, can I find more? Of course, it depends of your app or your website. But the idea is that the objective is that in a Word document you can have a deep analysis of the requirements, of the necessities that you want to cover with your product. That can be a website or a web page. But the idea is that you explain me with details the different requirements, as you can see here. You can add more or you can add less, but the idea is that you have to be clear. Why? Because in the next week, when we're gonna start to do the wireframe, it's important that you have to keep in mind this. So remember, don't forget to participate in the forum. Remember to check this masterclass, and if you have questions, please send me a private chat and I will help you. Okay, so thank you so much and see you next unit.